Hello everyone, I am Sanyukta and today we are going to be learning to draw another Zentangle original pattern, and the name of the pattern is Flux. So there are two versions of this pattern, and both the founders Maria Thomas and Rick Roberts have given two different versions for the Tangle pattern Flux. So we are going to be drawing today the flux as drawn by Rick Roberts, and just in case you have drawn a droplet of water before, something like this or something like this, then you just need to add one line in between and a few dots and the pattern flux is ready, right? So flux is nothing but a series of these petal shapes with a line in between and a few dots. When Rick Roberts draws flux, what he does is he basically tries to find out these small spaces in between consecutive petals that he draws, and he fills up these spaces with tipple, right? So tipple is an integral part of the flux as drawn by Rick Roberts, and we'll fill up these spaces that are left in between with the tangle tipple. Tipple is nothing, as we have learned earlier, but a series of orbs, a cluster of orbs. So these petal shapes, basically a droplet with a curve on one side, if that is easier for you to understand, can grow in just about any direction, right? A line in between, a little pressure at the beginning of the line and a little lighter hand as we approach the end of the line, and a few dots. So that's the basic pattern flux, right? So when we are drawing this pattern, we just try and find some small spaces in between these petal shapes so that we can fit in a few tipples here and there. It adds to the look of the tangle. So as you can see, the petal shapes as such can move in any way, any direction, and you can try and accommodate a few tipples here and there. So that's the basic pattern flux, right? So what we have drawn here is just like a droplet of water with a slight curve on either this side or this side, a small line in between and a few dots, right? So this is my square tile, and we are now going to be using a fun grid in order to draw our pattern flux. So again, my 4 dots in place, and with a very light hand I'm going to be joining these dots, and I'm starting with a fun grid, a leaf kind of shape, and I'm going to use double lines, right? Again, a leaf kind of shape over the leaf that I've already drawn. Again, an outline, the grid is basically inspired from one of the projects packs which has been floated by Zentangle headquarters. So I am going to be adding these random leaf shapes and going to outline it. So right now I am just preparing the grid, and we will be filling up this fun grid with the pattern tipple, right? So just using these curves to add the leaf shape. As you can see, I am constantly rotating my tile so that my hand is comfortable. Again, adding these leaf shapes. Right? Again a border. Just take your time. As you can see, I'm just not planning anything where to add my shape. Wherever I find a space, I'm just adding that, and then again outline it, basically adding an aura. Right. Again, you can add here, and you can add a line here, a line here, again a line here, again a line here, right? So adding an aura. Again adding a curve here, adding an aura, adding a curve here, adding an aura, again adding a curve here, adding an aura, right? So I am penning the border here, certain places where I think it is required, so as to limit my flux, right? So this is the grid. Now we are going to be filling up the pattern flux inside this grid, right? So as you can see, just filling up the space that is left with tipple. Again, slight curve at one side, a line in between with little pressure at the beginning of the line. Again, a tipple here. Again, another petal shape here. Right? So we are going to fill up all the spaces with the Tangle Flux, right? Again a petal shape here. You can fill it up any way you want. The petals can move in any direction. There is no rule. Right? I'm just going by the space that is available to me, just moving the petals in the best way that they can accommodate. I am also drawing behind, as you can see, the hollowbog effect. Again, the petal shape. Trying to find small little spaces wherever I can. Adds to the look of the tangle, right? So I'm going to be filling up all these sections in the same way. You can see here I am almost done with filling up all the sections that we had created, the grid. So I have almost filled up the sections with the Tangle pattern flux and fitted my tipples here and there wherever I could find space. So again, these petal shapes or droplets, whatever you may like to call them, tipple is an integral part of the version given by Rick Roberts. So in his version it is used as a part of the pattern to enhance its look. So now we are done with filling up the grid. We will now be shading our tangle. So I am using my normal HB pencil and going to be adding some graphite on the edges of each shape, right? So as you can see at the ends and a thin line inside along with the edges of the leaf shape, I am adding some graphite at both ends and along the borders. So some graphite at the ends and a thin line of graphite, giving it a outline from inside. Make sure you don't add too much of graphite because you don't want the entire leaf portion to go grey, right? So just adding some graphite at the two ends of the portion and a small outline, a very thin outline. So that when I spread it, the entire portion doesn't go grey, right? So it's very important that when you shade, ensure that the white and the dark portions are discrete. That is what adds the contrast and dimension to your tile, right? So just adding some graphite at the corners and a thin outline inside the section that we have created. You can also shade flux in a different way, that is, you can go on and shade the individual leaves, the petals. I will show you that also. In this style, since we want to highlight our grid and the way the petals have been placed, so we are adding our shading. We are going to shade this way, right? Because we are trying to highlight the grid that we have used. So just adding some graphite at the two corners and a thin outline inside each section. I think we are done with it. Missed one portion here and some tipple here probably. Right. So now I'm going to be blending the graphite. So with a very gentle hand, just smudging the graphite that I have put at the corners and blending the graphite at the border. Trying to, as you can see, trying to keep the center portion as white because I want to highlight it. Right? Just with a gentle hand smudge the graphite that you have already added and keep the center white. So don't smudge so much that your entire section goes grey. So I'm just smudging what I've already put, ensuring that I don't cover up the entire section, leaving a small white portion in the center. Which we are going to be highlighting. Again, keep rotating your tile so that your hand is in a comfortable position. I think we are done with it. So now what I am going to do is take my white charcoal and going to highlight the center portion that we had left from shading. Just adding a little charcoal, right, so that you can highlight it. We had not shaded that center portion already because we wanted to highlight it, and the white charcoal pencil helps us to highlight it more. Right, so we have already highlighted, and you can already see how the pattern is looking. So this is basically the Tangle pattern flux. If you wish, you can shade flux like this, add some graphite at the beginning and then just smudge it, or you can shade it on one side. Add some graphite on one side and leave the rest. So it is entirely up to you how you want to go about shading the pattern flux. Right? So I am now going to initial my tie. Sign and date it. Take a moment to appreciate your tile and the beautiful piece of work that you have created, and we'll meet again. Till next time, thanks for watching and goodbye.